I'd like to start by asking you all to close your eyes. Now imagine you're at the beach having a wonderful time, sitting in the warm sand with the sun beaming down on your face. It's a typical summer's day and you decide to go for a swim in the sea to cool off. You're having a wonderful time, it's warm, you're laughing, when suddenly you have a thought. You start to feel your heartbeat fast and you run out of breath. Now, if you haven't already, please open your eyes. Now, I know most of you have had this feeling when swimming in the ocean and not knowing what's beneath you, thinking it could be Jaws. Well, this is what the movies want you to think. They want you to fear. But take a look at this. See how peaceful they are, living life, minding their own business. Hi, my name is Jessica Forrest, but most people know me as Jess, and I have a deep love for these creatures and the environment they call home. It all began when I was 6 months old at our local beaches with family and friends for birthdays, Christmas, summer holidays, as often as we could, so I have tons and tons of fun memories at the beach. But today, I want to share with you my first encounter with a shark. When I was 5 years old, I was at a family member's house, far away from the ocean. And I remember them getting back from one of their fishing trips, and there on the cold concrete lay a shark, about the size of me when I was 5. It was still, it was silent, and it was completely out of place. Now, I was always a curious child when I was little, and I remember feeling fascinated by the shark, how it looked, how it felt, running my small fingers over its smooth skin, looking at its big teeth and its sad eyes. I was utterly consumed with fascination. But I stepped back because I also felt sad and angry. Emotions I couldn't fully understand at the time. I was just a kid after all. But even then, I knew something wasn't right. Why did this shark, a creature of the sea, have to be out of the water, lifeless and cold, with no purpose? Now, as I grew up, I spent hours around rock pools, finding crabs and small fish, having competitions with my little brother to see who could find the most animals. I was able to watch these creatures adapt to life as water came in and out of their homes, watching the way the starfish would move and water rinsing over rocks. I remember my mum calling to me to go home because it was getting cold, but being stubborn, I would plead for her to stay and watch me a little bit longer. But being at the beach wasn't just about watching. It was also about building sandcastles with my cousins, until one day I began boogie boarding, with my mum taking me out into the waves where I could not touch the bottom. And I remember that feeling of being scared of what was underneath me, squealing when seaweed touched my feet. But I remember also having a sense of feeling safe. I mean, I hadn't watched Jaws yet, of course. Graduating from boogie boarding, I moved on to surfing when I was 14. Out the back of the breaks where the ocean would move towards the shore, I was able to sit on my board and watch fish swim beneath me. Compared to the exhilaration and fast-paced of boogie boarding, this was a new type of peaceful I'd never felt before, allowing me to forget everything and only focus on the nature around me. It continues to this day to make me feel one with this powerful source of energy we call the ocean. And over the years, I've come to love going out the back of the waves, just to sit and clear my head, as it's become the place I feel most connected to myself. And in time, I even began speaking to the ocean about my life, things I was happy about, but more often I spoke about my struggles, like worries and stresses. The ocean became my friend, my therapist, who would just sit and listen to everything I had to say. Not that I get a reply though. Except for this one time. Just over a year ago, my friend and his family were playing in the waves like they always did, when they were suddenly swept by a rare and powerful undertow, forcing them out to sea. Most of the family was rescued by a surfer, but my teenage friend remained missing for 3 days. I remember feeling sick when I heard this news, that someone who I had known, who was only 15, could have been taken at such a young age. I remember sitting in bed that night hoping he was still alive. But on the 3rd day of him being missing, I did what I normally did, and I went out the breaks at my local beach to sit and clear my head, with my hands and feet dangling in the water, feeling numb, but yet connected to it all. And this time, I spoke out loud and I said, please, just give him back. Give his family the closure that they deserve. I remember my connection to the ocean being weirdly strong in this moment, and I received a phone call from my mum the next day saying that my friend was washed in from the tide later that evening. This incredible experience has taught me that even though the ocean gives us a lot of memories and fun experiences, it's also got the power to take things away that matter to us, just like how we take things away from it. Now back to this year. Again, sitting on my board out the back of the breaks, I had loads and loads of ideas for Greenstone, ranging from starting a jewellery business, to taking on the shark finning trade in Asia, to stopping overfishing worldwide. I know, big ambitions, right? But my final idea settled while I was sitting on the beach, thinking about the ocean and the memory of the dead shark when I was 5 years old. The shark has lingered in my heart ever since, and because of it, I often ask myself, are people aware of their part in killing these animals without them serving a purpose to us? And what do we as humans have to do differently before something changes? These questions started to form what impact I wanted to make with my Greenstone and how I wanted to make a difference. So I'm now standing here carrying these thoughts, feelings of fear, sadness and wonder for the ocean and all the creatures within. These creatures have evolved for hundreds of millions of years and they're all disappearing one by one every day, and it's because of us. You may be asking why, they seem fine, or just think it's the fishermen overfishing, but it's not. The truth is, it is us. Because we are the ones poisoning our waterways with rubbish and toxins from products we choose to use, and they all end up in the ocean. And obviously I know that the world knows that there is way too much rubbish in the ocean. And what I'm telling you isn't new. But I wonder how aware of the facts we all remain. Did you know that more than 12 million tonnes of plastic is swept into the ocean worldwide every year? That's 23 tonnes of plastic in 1 minute. So no wonder animals are getting tangled in it, eating it, or even absorbing it into their skin and bloodstream. Do you think it's right that the Java whale shark ingests about 137 pieces of plastic in 1 hour of their feeding time? In my research, I found so many similar clips of animals suffering because of the plastic we send to the ocean. And the thing is, the internet can make it seem so far away from our daily existence, except it isn't. In December last year, my nana caught a fish at Topol Lake, and this is what was found inside. Shocking, right? I don't know about you, but this simply is not fair. So, I'm done. Enough is enough, and we can't wait for more people to try and step up and fix this problem. People, including myself, are worried about what the oceans will look like in 2040 if we don't act now. Plastic pollution is meant to triple, reaching 37 million metric tons per year. That's 5 million fully loaded rubbish trucks tipping into the ocean in 1 year. And this would kill our marine life, choke our corals, and even impact us through microplastics. It's so obvious. We cannot wait any longer. So this is what I wanted to do. So what was I going to do about it? So the Shelley Saves the Sea project was born. A bold and vibrant children's book created to ignite a spark in the next generation of change makers. This story combines my love of art and storytelling to captivate kids aged 3 to 6, showing them the hidden dangers in their everyday homes. These aren't just books, they're a call to action, showing the kids the awareness that they need to know to make change. My goal is for kids to see themselves as heroes, able to save the sea and protect all the creatures within. Now, I'm not going to lie when I say this project was either a hit or a miss, as I couldn't remember the last time I drew a picture for fun. And now I had committed to illustrating a whole children's book. I had to be going insane, let's be honest. But I told myself there is no harm in trying, as I once loved to draw. So I got out and dusted off the old art materials, and I just let my imagination run free. I had forgotten the feeling of what it felt like to draw and paint. And once I started, I could not stop. I spent hours being lost in it. The creatures started to create themselves, and the simple storyline started to come to life. Wow. When I put it like that, it seems so easy. But trust me, the process I went through was extensive. What did I know about formatting a children's book, or even publishing one? That's when I looked to this amazing community for inspiration and guidance. And I was so fortunate to connect with Dana Gaddam, a children's author who taught me how to format my drawings using thumbnails, and also set me up on a program called InDesign for when I would need to later digitalize my drawings ahead of them being sent to the printers. At least to know, I didn't know how much I was going to use InDesign in the future, so thank you, Dana, for all of this amazing help. To create my book, I had so many simple steps that I already knew. I started with pencil until I was ready and happy with all the creatures and all the backgrounds. Then I moved on to watercolours, trying different combinations to see which ones would fit the most and complement my artwork. Then I scanned all of my designs onto my iPad and layered everything together until eventually it looked something like this. I did this for every single page in my book. 32 pages to be exact. But after all of this, it was now time for me to get my book published. And I decided, because I was rushed for time, I was going to self-publish through a local book printer. We had many meetings, sorting out cost, layout, and after 2 draft book later, I'm officially a self-published author of Shelley Saves the Sea. And I will be selling my first signed copies here today. Little did I know how much people would want my book, that I've already actually sold quite a few, so now I'm also taking pre-orders. So yeah. But with every great progress and success, there are challenges that we must push through and overcome. Mine was getting out the courage to workshop my book to a bunch of 5 and 6-year-olds. The aim of the workshop was to get the kids to help inspire the words, because at that time I only had pictures. So, together, we acted out different characters in my story, and we even improvised the words. And I overall had a great time and quickly incorporated a few of their ideas into my final design. I even went back as soon as I got my first book from the printer to read it to them. And needless to say, I was thrilled with their reactions. So, what's next? Well, Shelley Saves the Sea was always going to be the first book. And I knew this when I lost myself in the creation of the first set of characters. A shark, a turtle, an eel, and a crab. When you read my book, you will see that I've left an open ending so that this little group of characters can move on into their next adventure. With this overall process, I learned so much. But my biggest learning was the cost of printing a book. Did not expect it to be as costly as it turned out to be. So the cost to buy one of my books is $50. However, I'm donating all my proceeds to the ocean cleanup group. A charity that I am passionate about because they're the first ever ocean cleanup group in history. And this is really, really important because there are so many creatures out there going extinct because of plastic pollution. As of 88% of all marine species are already suffering because of plastic pollution. And it gets even worse for endangered species. Animals like monk seals and sperm whales are already struggling to survive. Plastic pollution is just pushing them one step closer to extinction. We need to act now, wake up now. Otherwise, our children and grandchildren will never know what these amazing creatures were. So, what are you going to do about it? Because as for me, it's now time for me to take my next steps in life. I started on beaches, then on boogie boards, then on surfboards out the back of the breaks, and now I'm planning to cross the oceans, working and living on yachts after I graduate. I literally cannot wait to wake up at sea, be closer to this wildlife, learn more and gather even more inspiration for Shelley and her friends' new adventures. Thank you.